Name crew over there, I'm Dustin. This is Fantasy Smack Talk, and before we got into the crazy stuff for preparing for the season, we want to do some fun videos where we took basically the ultimate fantasy player at the top position. So this one's for the wide receiver. So if you could make kind of a Frankenstein type player, you know, take bits and pieces from certain players and build the ultimate player, who would you pick for certain parts? Now we're doing this in terms of the fantasy kind of realm of time, so kind of late 90s to present. You know, we're not going all the way back to the beginning of time with football. So keep that in mind. It's in the fantasy era, and this is who we went with.
So for the head, and keep in mind, I know we said fantasy era, but Jerry Rice is the guy. We got to go with the GOAT, obviously, for the head. It's just a slam dunk. And he was putting up, you know, relevant fantasy numbers towards the end of his career. But again, this is when, you know, then you can take that, put into his prime. But it doesn't really matter whether this was the beginning, the middle, the end of his career, because in terms of head and work ethic, Jerry Rice is unparalleled. This guy was a freak of nature when it came to being a machine. He worked hard, great locker room guy. You hear it all the time from other NFL wide receivers that they've patterned their offseason workouts and what they should do based on what they saw and heard about Jerry Rice. There is not a better guy that I would want my Frankenstein receiver to have as far as a mentality to get better and to be professional and to eat the right things, sleep, drink, eat football. Jerry Rice, the GOAT. Of course.
You can't argue against that.
I love Jerry.
I would like for anyone to try to argue against that one. Torso. This one was a little bit tricky because there's some obvious choices in terms of who makes sense. Now this is just having that big body torso, so you're not going to get pushed around. You can take the big hits. And T.O. comes to mind. Calvin Johnson comes to mind. That's where we were really kind of stuck between. But we just went with Calvin. I mean, just his frame, just in general, just that torso that he has. I mean, he was kind of one of the first just kind of freak of nature giant receivers that just almost isn't even fair for a 5'11" D-back to try to guard him. I mean, it's unreal, and I remember watching his sports science thing where they said that he can catch a football within a 2-car garage area and just...
That's ridiculous.
It's just... Calvin Johnson, he had to make our list, and in terms of what we thought made the most sense, torso is what we went with.
So the other place he could have potentially made it was arms, because what's connected to your arms? Obviously your hands. So we were thinking about Calvin, obviously got to think about Larry Fitzgerald, but then when it really came down to it, we had to go with Odell Beckham Jr. Think about it. I mean, and I know he's playing right now, and is he even hit his prime? Probably not, but we've already seen it with the insane catches he has. You've already seen it that people come early to the stadium to watch this guy do his warm-up drills. And
insane.
It's just what he does is unbelievable. The catches are incredible. The way that he just kind of has stick 'em on his hands. So, you know, he could be getting better, but as of right now, we're going to go with Odell Beckham Jr.
Yeah, I mean, that 3-fingered catch. I mean,
it's just stick 'em. It's unbelievable. Yeah. The one-handed, I love his one-handed. Eats it.
It looks fake.
It does.
Some of the catches just look fake. All right, heart's kind of a tough one. With this one,
no, it isn't.
Well, with this one, it's like, what are you looking for? And, you know, you're looking for, you know, obviously a guy that loves the game, not afraid to take the big hit, not afraid to sacrifice their body, run across the middle. You know, so kind of some of the names that came to mind were kind of the smaller receivers, you know, ones that just, you know, had to really fight for everything that they got. You know, Steve Smith in his prime was one of the best. You know, kind of Marvin Harrison, we liked the way that he played the game. But Hines Ward, as much as I hated, I grew up a Bengals fan. I hated
Steelers guy.
I hated Hines Ward growing up. Just he's the perfect guy to have on your side of the fight, you know. But when he's on the other side, you hate him. You know, you hit him hard. He just hops up with a smile on his face, and it's like, no, like I just nailed you. Like, don't smile. Like, you get up hurt, but he just walk up, smile, tap the guy on the back.
But the other thing about Ward, also the blocking. You always hear how he's like one of the best. Like, and that's hard, right?
That's a little thing.
He loves doing that.
He wasn't just about the stats. Right. And just, you know, he wanted to do everything he could do to help his team win. You know, and you could put Larry Fitz in that same category as well. But just Hines Ward, just again, with just kind of feeling like he loved being out there, and it just showed with the way he handled himself. So there's your heart, in our opinion, on the wide receiver.
So when it comes to legs, that was tough, right? Do you want the speedy guy, the guy with the long strides? How's it going to be? You know, kind of you look at Antonio Brown, how shifty he is. But when it comes down to it, there's only one guy that Randy Moss.
Randy Moss.
You gotta have, if you're making a Frankenstein wide receiver, Randy Moss is gonna be somewhere, some part of his body's gonna be on there, and you're gonna go with the legs. The burst of speed and the separation that Randy Moss could get on the deep ball was absolutely incredible. I mean, obviously you remember that one season with Tom Brady, but the thing is, Randy Moss's separation wasn't like a half a step sometimes. It felt like it was 2 to 3 steps, and it was just wide open, but it's because he was so quick, so elusive, had that burst of speed. Just absolutely love Randy Moss here.
But even if you underthrew him, he's going to jump up and catch it.
Yeah, that's a good point, too.
In terms of just catching the ball at the highest point, which is what they teach you, Randy Moss was the best at it. I mean, the timing that he had on his jumps, it just seemed like he won that battle. The 50-50 balls, it was like 90-10 for Randy Moss. Ridiculous. I mean, it was unreal.
Him and White Chocolate played ball together. Love that. How fun would that be?
But that is our Frankenstein receiver. We wanted to do these to kind of, we thought they'd be fun. We thought they would spark some conversation.
Let us know if you have, disagree or guys that we missed. I mean, we went through rosters looking at things, and sometimes it's tough because like one guy would have one amazing season, but you're like, that's just one season. Overall, who do you want in there? So
and also too, like there's a lot of receivers that are very good as a whole, but not one part of them is better than everyone else.
Right.
You know what I mean? So it's like they were very good receivers as a whole, but nothing really stands out in terms of being the best out of what we picked. So it was hard. It was a lot of fun putting it together, but let us know what you think. Subscribe. Our football rankings will be coming soon. Our cheat sheet will be coming soon. We're excited about that, so be sure
to
check that out.